I have to go again, even though I've just come back. Even if I'm covered in blood all over me, everywhere, that no one bothers to wipe off. And yet they call me still. The crowd cheers. The ref is impatient. My opponent awaits me. I feel deadened. Every voice is far away, and yet I hear. I know that this is the moment that I have to go. It's my job. At first I liked it. I couldn't stop. It was my life. Now, no longer. I'm exhausted, worn out. I'm in pieces. How long can my body last? How many of those punches can it take? Night is falling. I feel it. Falling quickly on me. My powers weaken. Death will come and be the fatal wound for me. The final defeat. That was the poem The Boxer by Gabriel Tinti. It's about a boxer who is watching on while the crowd cheers for his opponent. And a statue in the photos of the seated boxer. That statue was found at the baths of Constantine. And there's discussion around who carved it and who the subject is. Is it a boxer at the end of his career, reflecting? Because the scars, they tell a story of a long life in the ring. And the crowd is cheering, but he seems distant. He's separate from it. He's beaten, he's bloody. Maybe he's witnessing the adulation and cheers for his opponent. And trauma, it's etched into his face. And the other week I went down to the pub to watch the Tyson Fury-Wilder fight. I went in with a few lads and I got in early to watch the prelims. I was really excited about it. I started talking to this chap at the bar. We didn't know each other's names until about 2 hours into the conversation. He was an older bloke. We started chatting about boxing, and he had a boxing background. He was a big fan of Fury. He said Fury's a real throwback. And he said to me, he said, "You know what?" He said, "You look like Jack Dempsey." I said, "That's all right. You look like Chuck Wepner." And Tyson Fury, he's deceptive. He doesn't look like $1,000,000. And his style, it comes off as awkward. And he's not showy, except when he's playing up. And he looks like a bit of a plotter in the ring, but he's a stylist. And he's a jack of all trades. He's a real ring general. He can fight on the inside, he can fight on the outside. He can go the distance, because his endurance is sharp. His footwork defensively is some of the best in the business. He can stutter step, he can step off, he can rally. Or he can square off and he can advance. He can lay on pressure and he can dominate. And he can parry. He can fight off the ropes or square off and send out the fight. And he can counter. He can mix it up, he can throw down. But he knows when to back up. And he can use his height and his reach to keep distance. He'd be a nightmare to fight. His jab, it's sharp. It's one of the best in the business. And he fights at awkward angles. It's a difficult style. He's just improved phenomenally over the past few years. And he's an intelligent fighter. He keeps his head. He's no real knockout power, but he's a complete fighter in many respects. And talking to this bloke at the bar, we covered a lot of ground. We were engaged in the conversation. We really saw each other and we really valued each other's perspectives. And there was an exchange of information, but also of experience. Not just about boxing, but a whole number of things. He's from Naples, originally, which I've spent a lot of time in. I loved Italy. So we spoke on life there. We mentioned the culture, the festivals, like the Festa di San Gennaro, which was a great experience. Talked about other aspects of Italian culture, like politics, cuisine, travel, business. I found out he was a bit of a journeyman back in his day when he was fighting. I said, yeah, I can tell. You got the nose for it. He said, yeah, well, thank God I did. And a great conversation with a man, it should open many doors. One door opens and then you walk down the corridor and other doors start opening up all around you, taking you in different directions. And it's the exchange of knowledge, but also experience. And many young men today that I've known, that they're not aware that they can have these kind of connections with other men. It's not necessarily a case of them not having the words or the experience, because that comes in time. But it's more because that door's never been open to them. No one took the time to sit down with them and listen and actually ask questions and value their perspectives and their experiences. For young men today, it's not often about altering who they are, but rather stripping away who they are not. And a good journeyman boxer, he'll teach a young fighter more in a handful of rounds than that kid would learn in 6 to 12 months in the gym. A journeyman, he's a boxer who's always on a journey, but he never arrives at a destination. But he plays a key role in mentoring a prospect into contention. And the journeyman is the opponent you never remember. He's not showy, but they're the unsung heroes. Professional boxing, it's always been a dirty business. And that's what it is. It's a business. It's not a sport. It's marketing, it's image, it's prestige. But it's corrupt. And it's built on the backs of men who sacrifice their bodies and their health to make up-and-coming fighters look like the next big thing. These men, they lay the foundation, and they're vital in the development of many champions. And he's an essential teacher and a building block. He pads new talent up. He props them up, and he gives them minutes in the ring. And he makes them look strong, but he also fleshes out the weaknesses. So it gives their team aspects to work on and to improve. He gives them his time, his attention, the benefits of his experience. And there's no glory, there's no recognition, there's very little pay. Because most of the journeymen I've known, they work full-time in regular jobs. And they have other interests they pursue, they've got families, all the rest of it. In boxing, it's just a sideline. They can go up in weight, and there's a bigger payday, but it's more risk. Because you get KO'd, there's a stand-down period, so, no pay. But the phone rings, and you take the fight, and can be at short notice. And it's also a fine line. They can look too good in the ring, and they can show up to prospect, and they won't be used again. And a journeyman, he's got to be able to keep people happy. The prospect, the promoter, the boxing board, the public. He's got to make the prospect look good. And he has to be able to defend himself above all and make it look competitive. And it's always been humorous to me that the public, they always take pro boxing at face value. But it's marketing. You have a prospect with marketability, with the right connections and the right backing, he gets a push. But the outcomes, for the most part, at least in the early days, are predetermined. These matches aren't 50-50. In order to progress at anything in life, you need to take risks to get to the next level. And you can't run before you can walk. It's like Renzo Gracie said. Renzo, he's a member of the Gracie clan, the school of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Renzo said, "A boxer is a lion. He's the greatest predator on land. But you throw him in the shark tank, he's just another meal." So a young man has to be able to navigate his terrain and take those calculated, measurable risks to get to the next level, and then grow and develop through proper guidance. Those skills he needs to survive in that new terrain, they're taught through lessons from and being modelled by more experienced men. And the best journeymen I've known, they were from the United Kingdom, from Ireland, Wales, Scotland, where they had really strong amateur ranks. And they had a very good discipline, very strong technique, and very strong mindsets. And they took pride in what they did. And it wasn't just about a payday. They saw themselves as mentors, as teachers. And they put these prospects to the test, that make them work for it. That open up the floors in the ring, but it's a fine line. Because sometimes the kid, he needs a lot of work, and the fight can go in favour of the journeyman, although the decision never will. And no matter how close it is on points. The journeyman could knock the kid into the third row, and they'd still raise the prospect's hand. They're there to do a job. There's no stare downs, there's none of that psych out or that psychology, because there's no point. It's just a job. But sometimes the prospect, He'll get a bit overexcited and act up. He'll kick off. So in those cases, the more experienced fighter has to send the kid a message and give him a receipt, fire back. And no up-and-comer wants to get knocked out by a guy with 100 losses under his belt. It's kind of like watching a deer in the headlights at that point. And that's a hard realization for an up-and-comer as well. It's kind of like a kid finding out there's no Santa Claus. They slowly come around to the reality of the business. A journeyman's job is to control the pace of the fight. And he picks his moments, when to fire up, when to slow it down, and they work in levels. They'll level up or they'll level down. Because they don't typically have the stamina of a contender. And they don't want to go too hard as they may have to fight tomorrow night. And like I say, a lot of journeymen, they work full-time as well. They fight a number of times a month, along with training, travel, family, all of it. So they could be looking at putting in anywhere from 20 rounds per month, or sometimes more. And that may sound like a lot, but you can do upwards of 100 plus sparring rounds when you're leading up to a professional fight. But the fact is, if you're not signed with a good promoter, you're not going anywhere in the business. And as a fighter, that's a reality many have to come to terms with. And that's decided very early on. You can cast the reel, but if no big fish are biting, you need to make a decision. I have a lot of respect for journeymen. Many are providing for their family doing this, to pay for their kids' school uniforms. That's how they look at it. It's supplemental income. And you can look at a fighter's record and see, 50, 60 losses in a row. But that's not telling the full story. There's a man behind the losses, doing what he needs to, doing what he loves, and taking pride in it. A male mentorship, it rebuilds. Because we need to rebuild young men. Because there's so much damage that has been done. And this isn't going to happen overnight. Male elders, they need to be bearers of light in the dark. The lighthouses that steer these young men to shore. Because boys today, they don't have men in their lives. Divorces, single mothers. We've cut these young men off at the knees. We've cut them off from male mentors, from social networks, from community. They've been beaten over the head and they've been left to work out masculinity alone. And young men, all young men, they're searching for identity, for purpose, for connection, and to be valued for their contributions. But as a society, we've failed them, collectively in every respect. They're on a crash course with life with no networks or role models to guide them, while at the same time being attacked and shamed. And there's a lot of predators out there, just looking to manipulate boys with no father figures. Just look at the stats on inmates who come from broken homes. So it's easy to see how they can go off the rails. You want to treat me like a dog, I'll act like a dog, and I'll bite any hand that reaches out to me. I'll get a tattoo on my face so I'm not like you, and I'll take pride in being an outcast, and that will be my identity. It's a romantic notion, but it only ensures they'll be exploited. And boys are retreating. They're not engaging. And they're looking for something. And they're not even aware of what that something is. That is how severely we have failed young men. They are lost to such an extent that they look to women to fill the role of mother, father, mentor, teacher, guide, friend. They are looking for women to provide something that they are fundamentally incapable of providing. Women have walked away from the table, so they have no skin in the game. No obligation past that of their own needs. And boys grow into men when other men show them the way. When men listen and accept them. When they value them. When they model accountability for them. When they provide structure. When they show them how to look after themselves, nutrition, training, self-care. Show them how to handle yourself in an assertive manner so you don't get walked on or end up crossing that line, in turn damaging your future prospects. And also, helping them identify and appreciate their own value. And most importantly, older men can show younger males a healthy middle ground. Because the world, it isn't just black and white. It's not all strict axioms and absolutes. Life is shades of grey. And it's our responsibility to ensure boys can stand on their own 2 feet. And that they have the skills to engage. You look at Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson had no understanding of responsibility. He had the world handed to him on a plate. He earned it, but it was handed to him. And before that happened, he was robbing people on the street. And once he lost everything, he said in response, "Well, what did you expect?" People want quick fixes and gratification. They're not interested in rebuilding, because that would require investment. But young men, they need to get active. They need to connect, to find their own words and experience life. Because whatever you think day in, day out in your mind is what you will experience. Every day we're either growing into more or we're retreating into less. And some boxers, they bleed like a stuck pig. And a Cutman is probably the best psychologist you will ever meet. Because the eyes don't lie. He keeps you together when everything else around you is just falling apart. You could have personal issues. Or you're down 4 rounds in a row and you're running on empty. But he can read your fear and all of your concerns. But with him in your corner, you're going to be okay. Now, if you make a mistake, if you get hurt, he's there to help you. And he knows you. He knows how you think, how your mind works, what you respond to, what sets you off. He's the calm spot in the ocean. And he's there with you every step of the way. It's a team effort. And the more a fighter panics, the less the Cutman can do to help. So the best thing that a young fighter can do is to give his trust to his corner. Then at least he can look in the mirror and say he gave his best. People could ask you, what is boxing? Well, boxing is life. Because to a boxer, it is his life. And people, they look at boxers like they're dummies. And you can't sit down with them and talk Greek philosophy. But, you can't do that with most people. But their mindset is far more advanced than most of the population. And it's their mindset that sets them apart. They're a different breed. And that mentality, it comes from experience. It comes from consistent small accomplishments and from positive feedback. And you can see it. As their skills grow and develop, so does their self-value and their confidence. And they're focused on becoming better, on improving things in a very, very practical way, improving their technical skills or their knowledge. And they're hungry, but they're also curious. They want to learn and grow, and they're excited about new challenges. And their development becomes their motivation. What once crawled can now walk. One of the key factors of a fighter's success is their support networks. They know they can't do it alone, and they know it's a two-way street. And you get respect by showing respect. And respect is care. It's care for yourself, and it's care for the other person. And you've got to put the work in, but you've got to take care of yourself. Because if you don't respect you, no one else will. And it also means no one else has to wipe your nose for you. Because you value yourself enough to put in the work, and you value those around you. Because it's those relationships that will open doors for you, now and in the future. And Sugar Ray Robinson, he said everything in boxing is rhythm. And if one thing is out of rhythm, everything is. And a young man is the sum of many parts. As Casti Amato said, a boy comes to me with a spark of interest. I feed the spark, and it turns into a flame. And I feed the flame, and it becomes a roaring blaze.